E aí, tudo bom? O vídeo já vai começar, mas antes dele começar, eu quero te pedir um favor muito grande. Para os meus vídeos chegarem mais longe, eu preciso que você deixe um joinha nele ali embaixo. Já faz isso já para não esquecer. Assim você me ajuda, o canal cresce e eu gravo mais vídeos para você. Combinado? E se você gosta desse tipo de conteúdo, se inscreve no canal. Ativa o sininho. Eu lanço esse tipo de conteúdo pelo menos 3 vezes na semana. Beleza? Então, já que você já deixou o joinha, se inscreveu no canal e ativou o sininho, vamos embora pro vídeo.
You hear the chime and see the master caution lights. Extinguish the master caution lights. There is now a new abnormal message on the engine warning display. Blue system low pressure. The message is boxed to indicate that the loss of the blue hydraulic system is classed as a primary failure that will affect other systems. The systems affected are shown on the right of the EWD as starred items called secondary failures. In this example, the primary failure of the blue hydraulic system has caused a secondary failure of flight controls. After review and confirmation from the pilot flying, the hydraulic failure message on the EWD can be cleared. Clear the hydraulics message. Notice that normal memos have returned on the left side of the EWD. The Ecam Flight Control System page is displayed on the system display, which corresponds to the secondary failure item on the engine warning display. On the Ecam Flight Control page, notice that the controls affected by the loss of blue hydraulics have amber indications. These indications will be discussed in the hydraulic and flight control modules. After review and confirmation from the pilot flying, the flight control secondary failure message can be cleared. Clear flight control. Notice that the secondary failure indication on the EWD is removed. The status page is now displayed, containing several pieces of information. The first area gives procedures to be applied for approach, landing distance factors, and other information. In this example, the inoperative systems are Cat 3, which means that Category 3 auto land is not available. Blue hydraulic. The system was switched off during the Ecam procedure. Spoiler 3. The spoilers that are inoperative because there is no blue hydraulic pressure. The status page is reviewed by both pilots. After confirmation from the pilot flying, the status page can be cleared. Clear the status page. The Ecam actions for a blue hydraulic reservoir overheat are complete. Notice that the status reminder is displayed at the bottom of the EWD, reminding you that there is information on the status page. This is important since there were approach procedures to be applied. If it contains information, the Ecam system automatically recalls the status page during the approach phase when the slats are extended. This is done so that if there are any items affecting the approach and landing, they will be presented to you at an early stage. You can see that in the example shown, there are approach procedures. You will see how these approach procedures are applied later in the course. Clear the status page. The status page is cleared and the cruise page is displayed. Ecam complete screens normal. So far we have looked at how the Ecam system advises you of minor failures. We will now look at what happens when there is a serious failure that requires immediate action. To demonstrate this, we will use an engine fire. As before, we will not concentrate on the system failure, but on Ecam indications and procedures. When the fault occurs, the Ecam system alerts the crew orally and visually. You hear a continuous repetitive chime and see the master warning lights flashing. Pressing one of the master warning push buttons will cancel the master warning lights, stop the chimes, and reset the alerting system. On the EWD, the red message Engine 1 Fire and the associated procedure are displayed. The red indications on the fire panel and the engine panel provide confirmation and identification of the affected engine. The engine page has automatically been called on the SD, and in this example, the nacelle temperature is pulsing. Notice that there is a red Land ASAP message on the EWD. This means that Ecam has determined that the fault detected is serious enough to require a landing as soon as possible. The pilot flying maintains control of the aircraft and asks you to perform Ecam actions. We will do the Ecam actions for you, starting with moving the number 1 thrust lever to idle. The next line on the Ecam procedure is now carried out. We will switch Engine 1 off for you. Cancel the master caution light. After switching Engine 1 off, the after Engine 1 shutdown procedure is shown on the engine warning display. Notice that the amber caution message has appeared below the red warning. This happens because you have to finish the engine fire procedure before carrying out the actions for Engine 1 shutdown. The Ecam system has automatically allocated priority to the warning. As a result of shutting down the engine, there are now secondary failures. The next Ecam action is to push the Engine 1 Fire push button. We will do this for you. Notice that there is a white line in the abnormal checklist. In this example, there is a delay in discharging the agent to let the engine spool down. We have paused the countdown at 10 seconds. To continue the countdown, click on the forward arrow. When the countdown is complete, a blue action line appears telling you to discharge the first fire bottle. We will do this for you. The next action line is to notify ATC. Since Ecam cannot tell you if a radio is being used, there is no feedback, and therefore this line will not disappear. Notice that we still have a red fire indication, which means that the fire is not extinguished. Another condition line has appeared, and a second countdown automatically starts. This one is 30 seconds long. Agent 1 managed to extinguish the fire. The countdown for Agent 2 stopped immediately. Notice that the engine fire procedure on the Ecam disappeared. This means the fire is out. The local warnings on the fire panel and the engine panel are no longer illuminated, confirming that the fire is out. Land ASAP has changed from red to amber, which means that Ecam has determined that the fault is less critical, but still requires a landing as soon as possible. The remaining steps are similar to those seen for an Ecam caution, so we will stop here. You have seen that the Ecam system has provided a smart and interactive checklist to help you deal with a major problem. So far, the messages and procedures displayed on the EWD have not been more than 7 lines, so we have had room to display them all. Let's look at how Ecam copes with a long procedure. In this example of the indications for an engine fire on the ground, there is an overflow arrow to indicate that there is more information to be seen. For training purposes, we have shown the rest of the procedure below the EWD. We will complete the Ecam actions, and you will see the associated line of the procedure disappear. As actions are completed, the rest of the information will be displayed and the overflow arrow will be removed. On the status page, an overflow arrow also indicates that there is further information to be seen on the second page. By pressing a clear key, the next page can be displayed. Press a clear key. The second page of status information is displayed. Notice that the list of inoperative systems has not changed and that there is still an overflow arrow. Again, press a clear key. The last page of inoperative systems is displayed and the overflow arrow is removed. If you want to display the first status page again, the status key can be pressed. Press the status key. We are now back at the first status page. To summarize, initially you see all the information on the left side of the status page and all the inoperative systems on the right. To complete this module, let's briefly look at Ecam priority. We will only use the bottom part of the engine warning display for this information. You are partway through the Engine 1 fire procedure when Ecam detects another failure. The low priority recorder DFDR fault has appeared below the higher priority Engine 1 fire and Engine 1 shutdown procedures. Unfortunately, it is one of those days, and another failure occurs. The autopilot off warning has appeared above the Engine 1 fire procedure. Ecam has automatically assigned priority to the autopilot off message because the first priority is always to fly the aircraft. The low priority recorder DFDR fault is now off the screen. You are advised that the fault is there by the unstarred recorder text in the right-hand column of the EWD and the green overflow arrow. We will clear the autoflight autopilot off warning for you. The recorder DFDR fault message is back at the bottom of the engine warning display, and the recorder text has been removed from the right-hand column.